Hey everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the Brand Exchange. My name is Yohji. I am super thrilled to introduce our guest this week and the debut for the female gender, the first strong woman leader on the Brand Exchange podcast, Miss Albina Lanina. She is one of the global venture developers at Rocket Internet before and is currently the CEO, global managing partner at Zenrooms, which should ring a lot of bells, right? And she has a decades full of venture developing experience. She built many entrepreneurial experience together with their teams and also is an expert in technology and hospitality solutions. Albina, thank you so much. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Yohji. Super excited to be here and thank you for the invitation and for the nice introduction.
Awesome. I want to start with Zenrooms and yourself a little bit. So maybe could you introduce yourself just for a few seconds? And then I really would like to know how you kind of entered the hospitality industry. How did that happen?
It was absolute coincidence. It wasn't planned. I used to work in investment banking in family offices in Russia. Really loved what I was doing. Had amazing colleagues, clients we worked with. But at a certain point, I realized that I would want to stay in the industry in the future, but I would likely bring much more value to the fund I would work with and the companies I would work with if I did build something myself. And that was the moment in 2015, I started looking at startups and I wanted to join a startup. I knew it would be a pay cut or even no pay. So I was ready to take this chance, but was primarily looking at Russia and Europe as that's where I would travel most of the time and would have certain connections. And then a friend of mine who was already in Jakarta was one of the first employees of Zen. He reached out absolutely out of the blue. We haven't spoken for 3 years and said that, hey, Rocket Internet is launching this new company in Jakarta. I think you'll like it and you'll like Jakarta. It's just like Moscow. So if you want to try, if you want to join, just like Moscow, I can arrange an interview for you. I said yes. And from there, it was everything was extremely quickly. In 2 days, I got an interview. They gave me 24 hours to decide if I want to move. I said yes. And then 3 weeks to make this move to Asia. And then since then, so I'm with Zen.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, been a while. Still believe it was.
How many years is that now?
I think it's close to 7.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Although I disagree that Moscow is like Jakarta, I like everything else you said. I mean, especially here in Southeast Asia, I think Zenrooms definitely made a name for itself for kind of the first big business chapter of things. So maybe you can just tell our audience a little bit about like what was Zenrooms 5 years ago and what is it today?
It is a very good question. I think as any startup, we did pivots multiple times. Was trying to find the right market fit and the right way to contribute to the industry and also make money at the same time. So when we started, as you probably know, it was a marketplace for budget hotels where we would agree with hotels, we'll select them and we would agree with them. We'll select the rooms inside, we would decorate them, we would do a minor renovations in the necessary, and the agreement with the hotel would be that all the guests coming from Zen should be hosted in these particular rooms. This is where we started, but at some certain point, we realized that this way of partnership, by allocating just certain number of rooms, by not controlling the price and the service inside hotel, we really cannot promise or not always can deliver on the promises that we are making to our clients. I think at this point, it's important to say that the mission stayed the same since day one. We wanted to make budget travel affordable, reliable, and safe for everyone. And Southeast Asia really needed it and still needs. So the idea was to start controlling the prices and the service quality better. And that's where we started doing franchising and full management. Over time, though, as also you are well aware, we wanted to make a greater impact. We wanted to not only to help larger scale of the hospitality professionals and help the industry in Asia to make this transition in terms of standards of operations faster than it happened in Europe or the rest of the developed world. I think Southeast Asia in general, maybe
Right.
10, 15 years behind Europe or certain parts of US. So we switched to technology. We started scaling the products that were originally built for our internal franchisees, for our own hotels, to the rest of the market. Then acquisition with Yanolja, of course, it added more products to our portfolio and allowed us to really make a greater impact on the industry.
Awesome. So you're really transforming right now into a SaaS tech startup to like kind of offer much more broader technology-based solutions, which is definitely a trend. And I know that the pandemic, kind of like fueled fueled that entire change, not only for Zenrooms but also for thousands of other companies out there. So I'm just like with putting out some empathy for other startup founders. Like, was it the pandemic that gave it like the final kick to make that big decision, or was there multiple factors besides the great trying to have a
Yeah,
greater impact?
we started prior pandemic. I think at the end of 2019, it was last quarter we were defining the strategy for 2020 onwards, and launching this solutions business was part of the strategy. But of course, pandemic accelerated it as we needed to continue growing, continue scaling with less capital, but also providing the service that was more important to the hoteliers at such extreme and historical times as
Right.
pandemic. And digital
Yeah.
transformation and digitalization in general became a part of hotels' agenda, though not at such a broad scale as it was for the rest of the world, for the rest of the companies, as it is much
Mhm.
harder. You cannot check in the guests online, right, through Zoom. So hotels had to continue operating physically in the locations, everyone had to continue going back to work and serving the guests. So for hospitality,
Yeah.
this transition is difficult.
Yeah, true. I guess until people checking in the metaverse, the online check-in might be a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want I want everyone to really listen to this, because I think this is something that we also often hear on our day-to-day basis of like completely changing the services of a company. And that is a good reason to rebrand, because that's something that we get asked and ask a lot. Is like, okay, Yoji, when is a good time to rebrand? Is like when I don't like my style or when I don't like this? No, it's rebrand is a huge deal. I mean, I can't even imagine how much money you already spent until now, and you're in the middle of like changing your business model from budget hotels to SaaS technology company, right? Like offering technology solutions for the digitalization of properties and accommodations. So, moving the discussion a little bit more towards branding, and I guess before we talk about the rebrand, I really would like to know from Zenroom CEO, like what's your point on the term branding? Like, why do you think is it important? What are like one of the most kind of like crucial points in your life where you understood, oh, okay, this is branding, this makes sense, this really has value?
That's such a good question. I think I might use wrong terms or explain it. But so the branding to me and the importance of it, it helps you and the management of a company to review the direction and the commitments that the company makes to their clients and their employees. And first of all, I believe it's important for the team members, both management and everyone who's serving the clients, who is working inside the company, to align everyone on the mission and the objective of the company, to make them proud and make them feel that, okay, I'm really part of it and my values is aligned with what the company wants to deliver. And only after this, that comes to the outside world, and that's the company's way to communicate what are you about, what is your promise to the clients, and how are you going to deliver it. Hence, of course, if the company direction changes, it's very important to review your branding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that was a very professional and on point answer. I mean, for we always say that branding is a feeling, branding is a vibe, and branding is like, the mindset and the soul of the company. And when we talk about branding, and I think that, in your own way, you described it pretty perfectly, is that you have a business plan and then you have a brand plan, which is, to build your brand. And you have to have everyone pull on the same strings. Otherwise,
Yeah,
all of this is just not going to work, right?
exactly.
Awesome. So when I know that you're still in the middle of rebranding Zenrooms right now, and until now, what has been your biggest challenge so far?
Over rebranding. Yeah, so you helped us with this, right? So you know that the difficulty for Zen was to disconnect from what we did in the past, right? And create this new vision for the company and also align everyone to ensure that everyone is aligned on this vision, right? That everyone understands that what we're doing now is different from what we did in the past. And the objective is also slightly different. I think that was a difficult part, and I think
Yes.
it will continue for a while. So we'll have to continue reminding both our team members and the outside world who we are, what was our story, and why we do today what we do, right? Why did we change the strategy and what do we want to achieve with this? So it is a long process and it will take time, I think, to even internally to align everyone.
Oh yes,
Even
yeah. And after the internal alignment, then comes the staying consistent on the external communication as well. And then
absolutely.
maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, people will not associate Zen rooms with budget hotels anymore, but with the best number one technology SaaS
Yeah,
accommodation provider.
absolutely. I hope it will happen much faster, Yohji. It should.
Yes, of course, of course. Yeah, that's great. And I mean, I touched base it earlier when I asked you about kind of your point of branding, and like I think another key word that I just would like to for everyone to just understand a little bit better is brand strategy. And as you mentioned as well, like we went through your brand strategy process for multiple months and kind of like try to extract everything out of the soul of the company. And I wanted to ask before like our engagement recently, have you experienced brand strategy with like Rocket Internet or other companies before? Like when was the first time you heard the word or the term brand strategy?
Yeah, I think it happened at the start of my career when I joined an investment fund that was just entering the market. So we had to build the brand strategy to communicate, okay, what is this investment fund would be focusing on, right? What is the expertise that the team has?
Okay.
I wouldn't say that I was very heavily involved in this as it was very early in my career, but at least the importance of a brand strategy already was clear to me at that point. Then,
Okay, great.
even with Zen, when I joined during the first week, when I arrived to Asia and went to the office of the company, we were actually changing the entire branding, more of an outside than an inside. So
Okay.
all the logo, our taglines, everything that we wanted to
The
communicate
identity,
to
yeah.
inside, outside world. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Zenrooms also, I know, shape shifted a lot of times. Like it's normal for startup finding the right tune, finding the right kind of flow of getting out there. But that's normal. I'm happy to see it grow, and I'm happy to where it is today. So I can't wait to see what's going to be in the
Yeah.
future.
Thank you for being part of it.
Um, no, thank you. All right, I guess like I especially in like the tech industry that you guys are now officially in, I'm assuming that you also talk to a lot of other leaders and founders and I don't know, influencers, whatever. And like when you visit an expo or like a community meeting or so, do you feel like people have like million different opinions of what branding is and like just mixing it up? Like what have you heard anything really funny or ridiculous that people confuse branding with or like don't even know what the hell that is?
I don't think I heard something ridiculous or funny. Yeah, unfortunately. But what I see to be a most common misconception is that branding is all about your facade, right? It's just your logo, your tagline, something that you sell to the customers. And that's something that you create more for the marketing purposes. As I mentioned earlier, to me, it's much more about aligning the team inside the company on your mission, and only after that, it's your communication to outside world. While I think most of them, people who face branding first time, they understand it the other way around. Would you agree with
That was
this?
so perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that was just, yeah. Cherry on top.
But Yoji, tell
Awesome.
me what was the most ridiculous thing you heard? I'm sure you heard much more than I did.
Oh yeah, I mean, the funniest story that I always tell people is that, like, on our website gohanstrategy.com, on our consultancy business, right? Our website is literally 3 pages. Number one is the homepage, which we just have the clients. Number two is an about page, and there's no long text.
Hmm.
Okay, there's maybe like, this is me, this is my co-founder, and then underneath it says in really big letters, we are not a marketing agency, we're not a pure design agency, we're not a PR marketing event agency, whatever. But every day, like, I wake up and I open my email and I have 5 emails inside. And I was like, hey, can you make this event for us? Okay, can you? I need digital advertising strategy for my Facebook ad campaign. It was like, oh my god, I just have a copy paste answer that says, please read our website first before you contact us. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
A little part of the education of the world on your end.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, once you delve into something, it's really just so different. Like, marketing and branding are just completely different worlds. And, people also often ask me that. And it's really just, marketing is really the action on after you build a foundation that we talked about,
Yeah.
right? And I think that needs completely different skill set, that needs completely different people. We've done that for 2 years and I wanted to pull out all of my hair. So I'm staying away from it.
Good for you that you can stay away of it.
Yeah, I not admiring all your marketing managers, but on the non on being inside a company is also very different of, like, being on the agency side, if you say so, because that's just like people just calling you in the middle of the night and saying like, we just decided that we changed our entire strategy and we want to allocate on our budgets on everything else but what we discussed yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, marketing on all aspects of marketing, from I mean, branding itself and marketing, they're just very difficult fields, to be honest. So a lot of admiration to all the professionals.
Yeah. And I think another, if we just got into this marketing versus branding board topic by accident, but like another thing as well is that I think it is almost unfair that the big tech companies just have all the power to just like keep changing the rules and keep changing the algorithms and keep changing the advertisement processes or whatever. And it just like staying on top of the technology and staying on top of the skills that you need to probably properly market your business is just insane. Like I spend probably like 3 hours every day just watching videos and reading blogs about, okay, what has changed last week, right? And I think with that conversation, I always tell also our clients is that, like, it's just really important to build out your own website, right? Like, just have a very stable communication line that you have control
Yeah,
over, right? So your blogs, your SEO, your communication, your podcast, like whatever it is, right? But that's something that you have power over. So, like, really invest in that and not on your Facebook profile that Facebook might decide tomorrow to just change everything to Meta and, Web3, and you don't know what's going on anymore afterwards.
that's true. That's actually a very good point. And indeed, things are changing extremely fast.
Yes. All right, we got off topic. Rebranding in the hospitality industry. I think, like, for one thing that I was curious about, and I never worked with a hotel. We did some like early brand stages for hotels, but I always feel like, and that on listing sites like booking.com, Agoda, I don't know whatever else is out there, right? I feel like those sites really stealing brand equity from hotels and accommodations, because when I go to booking.com, like, all I see is just one photo or maybe like three other highlight photos and then the name of the hotel and then Everything else is just a bunch of rating and decision making UI stuff for me, for the customer to choose. And I was wondering, since you also listed hotels, is there another way for hotel owners and property managers to basically display a little bit more of their values of their brand on pages like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. Indeed, OTAs stealing the importance of a brand. So 15, 20 years ago, if you travel to somewhere you have never been before, the only way for you to ensure that you get the service quality that you expect is to go with a known brand, right? Today, I think I was looking some numbers before our call, but the companies, the OTAs did the research, and more than 70% of people say that brand is not important for them now when they're choosing the property, especially if they travel somewhere for the first time. So what is important is your pictures, your price, and the reviews. But at the same time, more than 60% of people also check the website of a property, or if there is no website, then your TripAdvisor reviews, right? So people do make a research outside of OTA. So it's very rare that people just choose a hotel on OTA and just go ahead with booking it based on the just pictures and price. People do research.
60%,
Yeah,
you said?
yeah.
Okay,
Which does
interesting.
mean that having your presence online, exactly as you said, having your own website, having your social media accounts that you maintain is extremely important. So it helps you to build the trust and help people to make a choice towards your hotel. But again, so
Oh, okay,
even on OTA, I would say
please.
after the pictures, the reviews and what do you do with the reviews is extremely important. So if you are caring for your customers, but you don't reply to bad reviews on your sales channels, then it tells you don't care so much, right? And it does impact the decision that people make when choosing your hotel.
Wow, that's awesome information. Okay, 60% people. I'm just thinking for a second. Am I doing that?
I will tell you why people do it. People often go to the website. So first of all, to TripAdvisor to read more of the reviews, right? What do people actually say? And then to your website to see if there is a better deal, because it's very often that a hotel has a better deal for direct clients rather than for OTA clients, just because it's cheaper for hotel, right, than paying a high commission to an OTA.
Right. I see. Okay, yeah. No, I guess, yeah, to check for price. No, I have not done that. I'm too lazy. I
You
just
are
want to go to holiday quick and just book it on the map.
well, it means, you're not so budget sensitive, right? It means a few dollars difference for you won't make a big difference, but for the majority of the world, it will.
True, true. Okay, that's very interesting. I never thought about that before. Yeah, actually, there's another topic that fits perfectly into this, and this doesn't come from me. Tess Godin, one of the marketing gods of our planet, mentioned that before, and he said that luxury hotels don't have brands; they just have logos, and he proves this theory by saying if there's a Hilton, a Shangri-La, a Hyatt, and whatever next to each other on a beachfront where you want to go, like there's no way anyone is going to choose via their feelings, right? Like it's just really about who has the cheapest price. Like it's like they all have clean rooms, they all have a nice lobby, they all have great restaurants, etc., etc. And like people don't make emotional decisions when it comes to that hotel segment. I was really curious. I mean, you kind of answered it already, but I wanted to hear your opinion on that because I think that's so true.
That's partially true. If you never stayed in any of these hotels, right? If you are a first time user, then yes, indeed, likely the standards of service would be quite similar. So you would choose based on the price or perks you'll get once you stay there. But if you already stayed, and that's what every hotel chain and every hotel that cares about their branding and about their sales, what they want to build is the loyalty of the customers. They want people to come back. They want
Hmm.
people to choose their brand versus all other brands once they travel to a new location. And I think that's an extremely important part, and that's part that doesn't get old. Even individual hotels, that's extremely important for domestic travel, which powers travel in the Philippines. wherever I travel, say to Shargao, which I do quite often, I always stay in the same property just because I really like it. I follow their Instagram page, I follow their updates. I'm completely loyal to them. I don't even look at other brands wherever I go there. So choice for me is very simple. And that's the same for many people.
Okay.
Again, so your communication with people who stay with you who stayed with you at least once becomes important for them to become your repeat and loyal customer.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I really want to differentiate between like boutique hotels, that like have also put in an extra amount of like, thoughts into what they want to represent, who they want to be, right? Like if you go to Chagao and you're opening like a very authentic surfing spot, or like, let's just say a surfing
Mm-hmm.
hotel, and you put all your energy into like communicating with surfers, having surfers come over and, I don't know, write something on the wall and like whatever else, then I think that is a very strong hotel brand that people will, definitely get back to. But like I love brands, and like things like Apple and other things. I just blindly buy these things because I don't know. I think I've never entered a Samsung store in my life, and just like the comparison of like putting, for example, H&M, Nike, and Tommy Hilfiger next to each other, and putting, one of the top 4 5 star hotels next to each other. Like I really, for myself, I make no decision at the hotel part. Like I open Agoda or whatever, I check, okay, 2,000 pesos, or like $50 discount. Yeah, this one, because I don't care about the hotel brand, because I know what service I'm gonna get. But it's very different for me when I buy clothes or when I buy a phone, right? So I really think like hotels need to, if they want to really get into the emotional decision making, right? Of like, I don't care how much it costs, I'm gonna buy it anyways. I still think hotels need to figure something out for the future.
But look, first of all, for luxury hotels, five-star hotels, the share of clients that comes from OTA, it's a minor. So I think it definitely less than half
Hmm.
of their sales. Majority, it's corporates and people who travel for business and then generate all the points, right? Got a loyalty card and then comes for a
Good
personal
point.
travel as well. And second, it's very repeat customers. So people do become a part of a loyalty program, and for them it becomes not just cheaper, but more beneficial to continue staying with this particular brand and choose this brand versus others every time they go to somewhere. And hence, again, if you are a first time, if you are not part of this loyalty program, indeed, you go to a TA and you choose just by price. But if you're already part of it, and that's what every of these chain hotels trying to fight for, is to make the best loyalty program to ensure that clients come
Yeah.
back if they stayed once with them.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, guy, everyone there listening, this is again a great example of, like branding and strategy and everything is very important, but just don't get too focused on just one arm like I just did. And I think, you know, building brands and trying to observe certain things, you must have that skill and that overview. But at the end, everyone is running a business, and as Albina just said, I think, just saying, okay, of course our brand equity in the market is very important, but probably 60% of our business is coming from corporate accounts, people traveling, other partnerships, loyalty programs, etc. And to say like, obviously they're going to weigh the investments in their brand based on where their income is coming from. So I think, yeah, thank you so much. I was a little bit in my brand tunnel. So
Yeah, Yoji, it's very
for
important that most of the hotels, including individual independent hotels, the objective is to get a first client from the OTA, but ensure that second time the client will come directly, right? And that's where your branding and the way you communicate to your customers becomes extremely important. How to make the client to come back to you and book directly rather than book through through expensive OTA channels in the future.
I learned a lot today. I love it. Thank you so much. Okay. I I wanted to give your new Zenrooms brand and your new Zenrooms vision maybe a little bit of time to just get everyone excited about. Maybe I hopefully we have some hoteliers listening to this in the future. So maybe do you want to tell us a little bit about how Zenrooms can improve hoteliers' lives in Southeast Asia? Do some free advertising.
Free advertising. Yeah, very good. So we switch the focus, as I mentioned earlier, to technology, as technology is an important part of hospitality, even though it's a lot about people. Pandemic, as we mentioned, pandemic accelerated it, but this trend was already on the rise even before it. And the change of behavior and the digitalization happens much faster in a consumer end rather than on a business end. And one of the problem is the education part, right? How to make your team members in the hotel change the way they do things and adapt to the technology. I think that's the most difficult part of the entire exercise, and basically the biggest gap that we have today is in skills. So people just so much got used to traditional way of doing things, pen and a paper manually, and switching to technology is difficult. Not every hotel, especially independent hotel in Southeast Asia, has even laptop in the property, right? They just operate with the smartphones and again, notebooks. So what we want to do is to bring the technology to the hoteliers to make it affordable for hoteliers and to make it as simple to use as possible and help them to make this transition. We have a team of account manager or digital transformation experts who help you to go from the moment of understanding, okay, which technology do I need in my hotel, to successfully adapting it, making as many trainings as your property and your team needs to really implement it successfully. I think, again, every industry goes through it and went through it at a certain point of time. Hospitality is just historically behind across the world, but in Southeast Asia especially. Yeah, but what we want is at the end, in 2-3 years to actually make Southeast Asia to be at the forefront of hospitality transformation, unlike lagging behind as it is today.
All right. So from better late than never to being trendsetter. I like that. I like that optimism, and I'll support Zenrooms forever. I thank you so much for sharing your vision with us. Just to sum things up and yeah, maybe wrap things up. I think I really like we were working together for a couple of months now. I really admire your team leading skills, how you like have everyone, under you but with you at the same time, include everyone but also set straight lines. And I think that's the skill that is really rare in the today's times. So like what advice could you maybe give other leaders, startup founders, maybe also the young guns who are listening, in terms of what made you a successful leader?
Thank you so much, of course, for praising. Though to me, again, I'm work in progress, right? As all of us. Again, team,
Like all of
yeah,
us, yes.
team is your main asset, and finding the right people and putting them on the right position is your number one priority and your number one skill that you need to develop and grow as an entrepreneur, as a manager, even a team manager. So that's number one, and that's the skill that you develop over time. You make mistakes, and make mistakes means you hire someone on the job that actually doesn't feel for the job. It doesn't mean that the person is wrong, right? It just means that it's not position for him. So that's a skill you develop over time. And second, you have to work with people, right? You shouldn't just manage them. You need your team to be your main ambassadors, and the same, you need to be the main ambassador of every of your team members, just to ensure that you stay on the same goal and you support each other backs. I think that's, in Russia, your team members is really, it's your, so you'd really have each other's back. And it's extremely important value. I think that I also brought to Asia, and I think it's also an Asian thing, that your team is your family in a way. That's why people stay for quite long in the company, and they stay connected even after they leave. And I think you have to embrace this feeling, and you have to ensure that you really build the culture of support where everyone can speak up if they disagree with something, because different points of view are important, arguments are important, as the truth is somewhere in the middle. So having this environment of openness and support is extremely important. So to summarize 2 things, right? Yeah. Make your mistakes and build the skill and the muscle of finding the right people for the right jobs. And second, build this environment where people can speak openly and support each other no matter what.
I love it. You won't have external success until your internal success is fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Let's leave it like that. Albina, thank you so much for your time today. I would be extremely happy to invite you back to get an update on what Zenrooms is next year from now. And yeah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Yohji. Really love the discussion and looking forward to come back.
Awesome.